as you guys probably have already figured out, I love to talk. So today, I'm actually going to talk about the stages of implementation of change management as we move towards Vision 2030. Now, for me, this is really important because I've been around the MENA region for a while, and I was really fortunate when we adopted Vision 2020 to be working in the UAE. And I saw what a catalyst for change that was to move us forward in the UAE, and I'm so excited. And to be honest, it's one of the reasons why I'm here in the kingdom now, is I started learning about Vision 2030, and it really spoke to me. And so, our end in mind, as many of you know, I am a big Leader in Me, Franklin Covey supporter. So everything I do, I always start with our end in mind, and our objectives today is we're going to learn a little bit about what the theory of educational disruption is. I don't know if you know about that. We're going to understand the stages involved in implementation of change management, and we're going to understand a little bit about the implementation dip and some myths associated with it. We're going to understand the importance of keeping our momentum and change going through the duration of recovery, and then we're going to understand how effective change or education disruption happens. So let's start out with me. Who am I? I mean, you guys have seen me around a little bit, but so I'm a wife, I'm a mother. I'm an indigenous Appalachian American. So a lot of people will be like, boy, Miss Chassie, you speak really good English. Where did you go to school? Well, I'm actually Native American. I'm Cherokee Indian. I was born and raised in Cherokee, North Carolina, and came to the Middle East back in 2009. I am a lifelong learner, and by being a lifelong learner, I would say that my first degree, I have a bachelor's degree in musical theater education. I was a drama teacher. I will not sing for you today, it's been a long time. And I have a master's degree in curriculum instruction design, a master's degree in ESL, I have a master's degree in instructional leadership, I have an EDS in instructional leadership, and I'm ABD, PhD for instructional design and ESL. So again, this is something I've been in school my whole life, right? I am a five-time award winner for, I'm a guest award winner, but a five-time nominee for the Guest Education Awards. I am an American curriculum specialist. My current superintendent, Miss Imam Shaw, loves to say that I am an encyclopedia of American education, and I cannot deny that. It is something I'm very passionate about, and I love transcendental education, which is holistic learning for kids and just really embodying everything. I believe, and this is core, relationships are the most important foundation of good teaching and learning. You can have the best curriculum, but if we don't build the relationships, you'll never get anywhere with it. Kids don't learn from people they don't like. It's that simple. So you have to be able to relate. If you were talking, you asked the question about how do we build the positive discipline with our staff? Relationships. Teachers don't work well for people they don't like. You have to know that you can make mistakes and you can stumble and you can fall, and then a teacher, as an administrator, I'm going to help that teacher. They know that they can try new things, because you can't think outside of the box if you're scared you're going to fall and your boss is going to come down hard on you, right? So again, I go back, relationships are everything. Now, people used to always ask me for many years, Miss Chassie, what do you do? And even no matter if I was a head of school, if I was a director of teaching and learning, academic director, I would always answer, just out in the community, a teacher. I'm a teacher. And they're like, oh, what do you teach? And I would be like, well, I teach teachers. But I've changed that now. And for the longest time, if you looked at my LinkedIn, it would say administrator license. I have like like 7 licenses and all of these things, and it had all these things. Now, if you go to my LinkedIn, it says I'm an educational disruptor. Have you ever heard that term? Educational disruption? How many, show of hands, have heard the term? Okay, not even half. Well, today, inshallah, by the end of my presentation, I'm really hoping that you are going to identify as an educational disruptor as well. Because let's talk a little bit, what is that theory of educational disruption, okay? Disruptive education refers to innovative approach to learning that challenges traditional education. What I'm doing today, I'm standing up here, I'm talking to you, this is a little too traditional, right? I mean, this is not what we want for our students. We want to be learning side by side with our students. We want to have them in choosing what they're learning about and then letting them choose and then take what they're choosing and adapt the standards that they need to do to their topics. This is innovation. This is what learning in the future looks like. A disruptor is a person or form of technology that causes significant change in an industry or market by means of innovation. So, why am I in Saudi? There are 2 really amazing, absolutely the perfect definition of disruptors running this amazing country. One of them is King Salman. And he said, since I took the reins of the government, I set my eyes on the march towards comprehensive development in line with our religious foundations and by employing the country's potential and energy and leveraging the unique position of our country and its rich resources in order to achieve a better future for the country, its people, and while adhering to the faith and maintaining originality of our society and its basic elements. He wants to disrupt the future, the traditional, but still keep the core and the essence of who we are. And as a Muslim, that really resonates very, very strongly with me. Now let's go to His Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman. He's in every essence, from this quote, the perfect definition of an educational disruptor. Look at the change that has taken place in the kingdom in 5 years, mashallah, tabarakallah. We are determined to build a thriving country in which all citizens can fulfill their dreams, their hopes, and their ambitions. Therefore, we will not rest until our nation is a leader in providing opportunities for all through education and training and high quality service in employment, health, and housing, and entertainment. Let's see if I can make, oh, whoops, I turned it off. I wanted to do the little thingy, but
I think it's the middle one. So.
The middle one is the, ah, ha, ha, ha. Thank you. Technology. This, what does this say? Education and training. He wants to disrupt that traditional, boring idea. He sees the country moving forward. He wants us all to be better. And how did they do this? Through Vision 2030. And so in Vision 2030, education plays a really pivotal role. It believes in shaping the future of Saudi Arabia, and we have to use this as a catalyst to move education forward. The goals and primary objectives of and for education within Vision 2030 are providing high quality education that is accessible for all. Why was that panel I sat on yesterday so important? Why am I so passionate about inclusive education? It's part of Vision 2030 as well. I mean, all students, all kids have the right to learn. Fostering innovation and creativity. Engagement. We were talking about engagement. How many times have we heard the term engagement? Preparing preparing students for the global job market. I think it was Dodd that was talking yesterday about preparing kids for jobs that are in the future. Let's look at our own lives for a second. If I was a kid, if I was back in 4th grade, and I said I wanted to be a web designer, you would think I was going to be doing something with spiders because it didn't exist then. And now, mashallah, promoting lifelong learning, preserving and promoting Saudi heritage and culture, which also means Islamic, and holding our values when we are in other places. All of these goals are intensely personal to me. They're things that I try to live every single day. Now, how are we going to use this as a catalyst for change? So these are, and I'm not going to go through all of them, I'm not going to read them all to you, but modernizing curriculum and teaching methods is the one I'm going to kind of focus on today. And this is something that there is a true need, and as we see, and we've all been talking, there's a need for this here. So what are the outcomes and impacts if we implement all of those things? We're going to have a highly skilled and competitive workforce. We're going to have increased enrollment in higher education. We're going to have a thriving culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. And we're going to have a well-integrated education system that's aligned with the needs of the people and the students and of the future and of the progress. They're going to be adaptable. They're going to be able to change. And they're going to be able to roll with the new technology and whatever job comes their way. So, building on a lot of the things that we've talked about, and over the past, it really, and honestly, the way this flows into my presentation, and everybody's stuff has flown into my presentation, and then will flow into Ms. Batista's presentation a little bit later, it's just subhanAllah how it worked out. But I'm going to go, we talked about PISA, we've talked about OECD, but the OECD has the Vision 2030 as well for education. And I want to just share with you, whoops, how do I play the video? See, I want to share with you, oh, the link is not working. Please hold. We will just, there we go, we will play a video for you about the
As
OECD.
a non-native English speaker and writer, this is crucial for me. Grammarly's digital writing assistant helps 30 million...
As our societies evolve, so do our education systems. But what does the future of education look like? To answer this question and understand how traditional models are evolving, we looked at emerging features that may become the new normal in education systems around the world. What did we see? Traditionally, in education systems, decisions are made by a select group of people, and everyone has a distinct role. Students learn by listening to their teachers, teachers teach, and principals manage the schools. The curriculum is linear and standardized. Academic performance is prioritized, and students are assessed through standardized tests. How is this changing? Education systems embodying the new normal are part of a larger ecosystem where decision-making and responsibilities are shared among a wide group of stakeholders, and students are active participants in their own learning. In these schools, the learning process and student well-being are also valued in addition to academic performance. There is a recognition that students come from different backgrounds and learn in different ways. Learning happens in a non-linear process with different types of assessments used for different purposes. These schools are monitored no longer just to ensure accountability, but also to encourage frequent feedback at all levels to continually improve the education system. The future, by definition, is unpredictable, but by developing responsive education systems, we can help our children adapt to, thrive in, and even shape whatever the future holds. To find out how you can help too, visit our website.
So as you see, pretty much Saudi has the vision for being the best. You can slide back for me, sorry. Thank you. Everything that was in that video is what Saudi is looking for in their schools. And we have a big job ahead of us. But do I believe we can do it? Oh, yes, I do. Absolutely. From us, and we all have to work together. Now, I want you to turn and talk with your neighbor. I want you, well, okay, where's the words? Oh, okay. So my timer is not working, I do apologize. So I want you to think about these different things that I had projected or that we've talked about. What, and we're gonna talk about, thinking about changing our pedagogical approaches. Improving the quality of our teaching and learning in the school. I want you to turn and talk to the people at your tables, and I want you to think about what the cultural attitude towards these changes are at your school. And I want you to think about what challenges have you faced in fostering the 2030 vision. So share with your elbow partner. My timer's not gonna work, so we'll just look at my watch. Talk for 2 minutes. Now, and I always try to model behavior you should see in the classroom, right? So it's a little quiet in here, guys. I need you talking to each other. Your classroom should not be quiet. If you're using the 4 C's, creativity. What are the 4 C's? Does anybody know that off the top of your head? Creativity, communication, collaboration, and critical thinking. If you're using those, that is not a quiet process. So turn and talk really quickly. I promise I won't grade you on it. All right. Talk. I normally like to move through and go to the tables while we're doing this.
Sorry, I can't post and do it at the same time.
All right, you've got about 30 seconds to wrap up your final thought. I know we're moving this way too fast. All right. Does anybody want to share some of the possible obstacles that they had? Let me come down. Does anyone want to share possible obstacles? You could pick a table. Number 2, table number 2, you're going to share. What are some possible obstacles?
Changing the backgrounds, changing the mindsets of
Changing the mindset, absolutely. Anything else? Another table. Pick another table, Juliet. Carly. Thank you, Carly.
So we are actually at brother sister schools, and we're quite new schools, and we've actually come to the realization that actually the attitude towards schools in both of our school is quite good, because we have come because of the 2030 vision. So King's College is open because of the 2030 vision, and Dalhouse is open because of the 2030 vision. So the majority of the teachers that have come in have a really positive attitude towards the idea of the changes that are coming in, And I think that that has a lot to do with the fact that the vision has actually allowed us to come into the country and open up.
That's wonderful, wonderful. I want Dr. Abad, I want to know what, take it to Dr. Abad, because I would like to know, because you're coming at it from the expat perspective, coming to Saudi like me for Vision 2030. What are some challenges, Dr. Abad, do you think we have faced, or as Saudis have faced?
Actually, before I talk about the challenges, I'm at the level of the Ministry of Education.
Right.
But when I was a teacher, what the things that I want to change in the school culture is to increase and to improve the relationship between parents and the school.
That's a key.
Yeah.
That's actually key. So let me just go through some of the ones that I actually have asked this. I asked it to my teachers. I've asked it to friends. I did a poll in a WhatsApp group of educators that I was in. And these are some things that came up. And it's teachers' pedagogy and skills. They're still very traditional in a lot of the schools. And I think this is something Ms. Ibtisam was speaking on yesterday, is teachers tend to, in this part of the world, teach the way that they were taught. That mindset of lifelong learning is not always there. And I think that is something that I challenge all of the higher ed people in this room to start thinking about. When you are training your teachers, if you're in a teacher training program, and I've been a mentor with Moreland University and Teach Now, the Teach Now program, since 2015. And this is something that we've actually been working very hard, is that practical application, giving them real tools that they can use in the classroom. Technology in the classroom. We used it great during COVID, but like Hatem was speaking about today, and Marty was talking about today, it's gone back. We've slipped. How do we really feel that we're using technology appropriately in the classrooms now? We were, but now we're kind of going back to that very traditional. We were making that leaps and bounds, but then we've kind of all gone back to exactly fill out the book, do your worksheet, don't talk in my class, and that's it. Parents' adaptability to the new ways of teaching and learning. How many of you have struggled with the parents understanding the way that learning? Zena, okay. It is something, because a lot of parents, they do not understand, especially in the younger years, play-based curriculum and the benefits of play-based curriculum. And they'll say, where's the books in KG? Why is there no books in KG? Oh, they have books. They have storybooks, and they have classes. And yes, they're drawing letters, but in shaded cream and with Play-Doh. And these are things that are actually more developmentally appropriate for their age than holding a pen and pencil. But parents don't understand that because that's not how they were taught. The adaptability of students. Now I'll tell you, our students are pretty darn adaptable. And if we didn't learn that during COVID, that's why we don't need to be afraid of the AI. We need to teach ethics with it. I really believe it's very strong that we need to work on teaching the ethical capabilities and what everyone needs to have that knowledge. They could use it, but it needs to be done in a proper manner. And then, this is a really strong point, and you said it right there, changing the mentality of what education is and what it looks like. And you know, the Minister of Education for Saudi, I think he's going to be quite a disruptor as well. And in a speech that he had last week, this was a key point in his speech, was changing the mentality of what education looks like in KSA. Now, let's talk about the science of implementation. We want to change something. Doesn't matter what it is, so you can think about whatever you want to change. But this is a big thing to remember. Learners cannot benefit from interventions they do not experience. Training by itself does not work. having one PD, and then saying, oh, you're trained. Wow.
That's change. No, that's change.
That's change. But having one PD and saying, oh, my teachers are trained, my teachers know it, that's not effective. Programs themselves do not work. Policy change, just having we have a policy for that, we have a discipline policy, we have a positive discipline policy. Financial incentives do not work alone. You can throw money at anything, but it doesn't solve your problem. I don't care what somebody will tell you. They all must be implemented together with a plan, with commitment. You've got to work from here. If you are not committed to whatever plan you're putting in place, it's going to fail. And this is why the Leader in Me program, when we talk about the Leader in Me program, it actually starts with training the entire school before it ever rolls out to the teachers. I mean, before it rolls out to the students. You train the teachers. You've been trained down to like your guards in the classroom. Your guards, your nannies, your bus nannies, your bus drivers. Because everyone, all stakeholders, you train parents, all stakeholders have to be committed to making the change take place. Now, let's talk about this, and this kind of goes into some of the things we were talking about yesterday. And this is really important. Implementation is a very different set of activities, and intervention is one set of activities. So if you have a one-off workshop, that is an intervention. And Dana kind of talked about that in her presentation yesterday. That, you know, if we've got to monitor, are they working? Are our processes working? And leadership teams and principals have to hold both of these concepts consecutively. And you have to be aware of it. Because you can't just give one intervention and not have follow-up, not have accountability, and expect for it to work. You can't say, oh, I have an implementation plan, we're going to do it, but if you don't meet the deadline of that implementation plan, if you don't meet the goals that you set forth, it's useless, right? It's kind of like Chutes and Ladders. You know, we're going to focus on improving our teaching and learning. So we move up, oh wow, we're beginning to improve our pedagogy. Then, oh my goodness, I'm late for a meeting, so I get a little setback. But then, going up, I give into negativity. And you look, all the way back down here. We walk through lesson plan failure, all the way back down here. Change of practice. I've reached the goal. Because it has to be embedded. It is a process. And this is kind of, so even with this game, even if I've reached the Vision 2030 goals, is my game over? Yes and it's not. You're right. I have to go back here and keep working. Because it's a process. And all too often we think of it like a game, that there's that main end goal, and when I'm there, it's done, it's over. Remember we talked about being a lifelong learner. Improvement, there's always room for continuous improvement. So let's talk about the myth of change management. And this is from Harold and Feder in 2008. They did research. And then Michael Fullen took it on in a great book. It's called Motion Leadership. And if you've never read it, and you're a school leader in this room, go to Amazon and order it today. And I do not work for Michael Fullen. But it is a great book to help you set in motion change within your school. And so we introduce change, and the myth is that we introduce change, and immediately, wow, okay, we've implemented this program, yay, we're better. Is that really what happens? No, it's not. The myth of change is
People don't like change. The perception is there'll be immediate gain. Change should not be personal. Whoops. But, oh, I wish I had my notes. I had a really nice little speech set up with this, but you know what, I'll be honest, I just forgot exactly all of it. So, I will tell you that people do not like change. That's actually a myth. People are afraid of change. People are afraid of the unknown. So, again, remember what I said at the very beginning. If we build our relationships with our people, they're not going to be afraid. People are scared of making mistakes. We have to remember that nobody is perfect. Why do we call a toddler a toddler? Anybody? Why do we call a toddler a toddler? Because they toddle, right? And if a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old is learning to walk and they're toddling, right? And they fall down, what's going to happen? They're going to cry. But are they never going to walk again? They will get up. They will pick themselves up. And they will walk. And then eventually they'll run. And if any of you have ever had a 4-year-old running from you, you know how fast they can run. The thing is we have to remember with our teachers as well, and our staff when we're working with them. We talk so often in our classrooms about differentiating for our students. But as a leader, have you really taken the time to consider how do I differentiate from our teachers? We all do not come from the same pedagogical backgrounds. We all do not have the same knowledge. And I'll be honest with you, I tend to hire people that have the heart more so than the knowledge. You know what? If you've got the heart, I can train you. And you'll be darn good when you're done with me. But if you don't have, if you're just what I call a transactional teacher, I clock in, I clock out, they want to work the banker hours, you'll never get anywhere with those people. So it's not that people don't like change, they're scared of it. And people want to be perfect in what they do, right? The perception is there's an immediate gain. And that's not the case. And I'll talk about that next. And then change should not be personal. But one of the things that Dr. Stephen Covey talks about is change should be personal. Because who can control? Can I control what Zena does? Can I control what Dr. Abad does? Can I control what Lillian does? No. Who can I control? Me. So change should be a personal experience. It should be about our growth, our development. Now, these are some stages of implementation. We all go through it. Should we do it? Or how are we going to do it? We're going to explore it. We're going to adopt it, right? And we're going to make decisions, and we're going to be committed to adapting the process. Then we do the installation. And again, this is intervention here at this point. We do interventions with installation and then initial implementation. We're going to set up our infrastructure. We're going to try out the practices. We're going to elaborate. We're going to figure out what works and what doesn't work. This is why accreditations are really crucial to schools, because it helps you through these processes. It gives you that catalyst for change. It shows you how to get better. It's not about telling you you're doing something wrong. It's about trying to help you find the way. And then that's your continuous improvement, your regeneration. Because you know what, if I fall down, I've got to pick myself up, and then I go back up here, and I start all over. So to talk again, this is your little time to talk. I want you to think about something that you're implementing currently in your school. I want you to think about your stages that you're currently in. And then this is the key point. This is crucial to anything. Evidence. We have to have learning evidence, we have data. Remember, if we collect evidence for something, it needs to be purposeful, it needs to be measurable, and we also need to be planning to do something with it. We don't just collect data to be collecting data. Learning evidence. What evidence do you have to support your choices? Go, and we're gonna choose some tables here in just a minute, so you've got 2 minutes, go. Okay, wait, I gotta cut this, because let me keep going really quick. I'm done. Juliet says I'm finished. This is really something I need to go through really quick, is the depth of decline. And this is the science that shows that when you implement something, and how many of you have been in a situation where you've implemented something, and it seemed to get worse? Right? Yeah, saying that. Anybody else? Okay, I see a lot of nodding heads. This is called the depth of decline. Because in reality, things get worse before they get better. Toppling, right? Falling down, not learning how to walk. So these are some really big things I want you to think about. You've got to make sure that you keep that momentum going. There's always a high level of excitement when you start something. But then, as you're doing that trial and error, and things aren't working out, you start to kind of lose that momentum, and you get that negativity. Remember, I clicked on that, it said negativity creeps in. You've got to remember that is not the strong foundation. The fall into the implementation dip will be greater if you say, we're going to do this in 2 months. That's not effective, okay? This presentation will actually all be available for you guys. What on earth? Apparently it did not copy well to Google. So you want to minimize the depth of the implementation dip. And you do this by your interventions, more interventions, using your data, seeing where you can help. How can you reinvent? How can you go? And support. You've got to honor the implementation dip. And when you are starting a process at your school, you need to let people know, guys, we have a goal, but you've got to set reasonable times for your goal. So it really depends on which researcher you're looking at, whether it's Hattie, Fullen, Whitaker. They all say 3 to 7 years for effective change. So if somebody promises you they can change something in 6 months, they're probably not telling you the truth. They're basing it on the myth. So we have to honor that implementation dip. We have to be reasonable. We have to set the cost-benefit ratio. We've got to make sure that we know the negative is coming. Keep going. This is the other thing for a leader if you're implementing a new program. Don't expect a lot of compliments. Change is hard. The other thing is you got to be resilient. Because if you're not resilient, everything will result. You will lose. And resolute leadership is a necessity. And these are four characteristics of resolute leadership. I just want to keep going really quick. We're going to skip. Sorry. I hate it when I overshoot my. There it goes. Where to next? I want to leave you with the fact that knowledge is power, and being aware that the implementation dip is a powerful thing. You have to work in your teams to develop action steps that address the implementation dip. So don't give up. Keep your morale high, and doing that, you'll make it through the duration of recovery, and you have to be a resolute leader. Again, those were our success criteria. We missed 2 of them. But further suggested authors, Michael Fullen, Todd Whitaker, Ruby Payne. She does a lot on poverty, but she has a theory about emotional poverty, which really relates a lot to this region sometimes. John Hattie, and then I have a playlist, a YouTube playlist that I've created of all of these things. And then I'll leave you with my very, very final thoughts. Whoops. Is Dr. Stephen Covey is my hero. And he said, we only have one chance to prepare our children for a world that none of us can possibly predict. What will we do with that one chance? So I hope you'll leave here today and leave this room and say, I am an educational disruptor. I'm going to change the face of education in Saudi Arabia. And feel free, this is my contact information. And I would love for you guys to follow me on LinkedIn, stay in contact, and I appreciate the time.